So someone walks in your shop's door in a panic. They're the maintenance guy from the factory down the road, and their production line is down. They need this part and they need you to make it now. You make the part, everything goes well, but when it's time to get paid, all of a sudden you're getting the cold shoulder. What's up guys? Ian Sandusky from Lakewood Machine Tool, back here again for Practical Machinist. And today on Machine Shop Talk, we're going to be diving back into the Practical Machinist forums to help out a poster who came on with exactly this question on their hands. But before we do, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications below to make sure you never miss a video. Let's get into it. Okay guys, so as promised today, we are going to be heading back into the Practical Machinist forums to help tackle a question posed by a forum member. We're going to be dealing with the wild and often nonsensical world of rush, hot rush, I need it now work, and what kind of implications that may have for your shop. So to quickly sum it up, a poster did come onto the Practical Machinist forums, the shop management sub-forum, and this is what happened. As I kind of described at the beginning of this, someone came in their shop. It literally was a guy from a factory down the road with a part. They have a giant production line. I don't know what kind of production line this factory had, but this part that the guy had was broken and the line was down. So the line cannot run until this part gets made. For those of you who have worked in a factory or worked with factories, you know, where they do high production and stuff, a line being down can be a huge deal. Depending on what they're making, how many of them they're making, what kind of machinery it is, a line being down for even a couple hours could be thousands, tens of thousands, or even hundreds of thousands of dollars in losses. On top of that, much like we have our own kind of timelines, deadlines, and ship schedules as a machine shop, these guys have their own ship schedules. So a line being down for a few hours or even a day can have huge knock-on effects down the road. So they want to get these things up and running quickly. The poster went on to say that this was a big deal because the guy who came in with the part said that the original manufacturer of the part, you know, the company that built the line, quoted them $1,000 for the part, but it was 6 to 8 weeks delivery to get this thing in hand. I know if some of you guys who run machines like ours, if you ever have that kind of timeline, you know how much of a panic that is, but you may have other machines to run it in. In a production line like this, it sounded like the entire line was down. It cannot run without this part. In 6 to 8 weeks, it's not gonna fly. So the guy who came on and posted said he took a look at the part, took it, figured out a solution, machined up a new replacement, and got it back to them in 2.5 hours. I don't know what kind of service you can possibly expect for a job like this, but that is ridiculously fast. It's incredibly efficient. They cannot possibly be happier, in my opinion, with that kind of result. So he calls up the guy comes back, he gives him the part. Great, everything's amazing. Let's get this thing back in, machine's running, everything's happy, right? So the maintenance guy comes back, you know, later that same day, says, hey, everything was good. Can you keep making these for us? You know, we go through a few of these, we ran out. What would your price be for them? So the guy breaks down his numbers and he goes, all right, so for usually, if I supply these to you, it's gonna be 650 bucks. Because this one was a hot rush, it's gonna be 800 bucks. And remember, the OEM quoted 1,000 bucks for this thing. So 650 and 800. And all of a sudden the company gets frosty. It sounds kind of expensive. You know, they're not responding. He's having to chase them. And he says, well, he thinks he's going to get paid. His question was, why do companies get like this? When there's such a huge problem that they solve for them so quickly, everybody should be thrilled, and he's cutting him a discount over the OEM. Why do companies get like this? And what strategies can he use to mitigate this kind of thing? Because it's just, it goes on and on and on. He's seen it before, I've seen it before, you've seen it before. Now, this is definitely something I've seen before. Here in Newmarket, we have a few factories around here, you know, in the surrounding area, Newmarket, Aurora, Richmond Hill, Toronto, where they have these big production lines. I have had everything from electronics industry to bakeries come in with a part and say, I need this yesterday. And I've also had them, after you fix it, go, that sounds kind of expensive. Counterintuitive, right? So a couple things to consider when you're doing this kind of rush work. While it sounds counterproductive now in this scenario because the part is out the door and the price was given after it was given, really the first thing you want to make sure you do if you're doing this kind of hot rush, set the expectation early. Make sure you are giving them a price before you start. You know, myself and others on the Practical Machinist forum, people were talking about it there. I've been in a scenario where I say, you need this today, I'm going to do it for you today. Let's worry about the price after. I'm just going to charge you time and material. And then I've also had the company go, well, wait, can you give me a breakdown of that? Why is that so expensive? And we're not talking 10 grand. We're talking a few $100. We're talking $1,000. We've all been through this song and dance with companies before. Everybody is always happy to say when they have a problem that is so dire and needs solving, sure, I'll pay whatever, I just need it. When the bill comes after, in the light of day, they look at it and they go, oh, well, we could probably go a bit cheaper. This is a scenario that I said time and time again here, keeps repeating, and you will encounter it if you do this kind of work. In these scenarios where, genuinely, you don't know, is this going to be a $500 job or is it going to be a $1,500 job? I'm not going to know until I go and start trying to deal with it, and I don't have time to quote it properly. You need to give yourself a ballpark. If you're doing quoting, you should have a general idea of how much things are going to cost. So if it's going to be between $500 and $1,500, make sure you're telling them. You don't need to say this is going to be $1,500, but making sure you say this could go up to $1,500 depending on, if I can work hold it this way or whether this, I don't even know what kind of material this is. If it chews up my cutters, then I'm going to have to use 5 more. Give them the range and make sure they understand that top number could be the number. And then what I like to do, because at a lot of these big companies, you don't often get the chance to get a PO same day. Some of these companies take 2 weeks to send out a PO because that's to go through purchasing, management approval, blah, 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 and on you go. They need it now. Get the person who's approving it. I always say, hey, shoot me a quick email right now while you're standing here. Hi, Ian. Yes, I approve that this could go up to $2,000. That way you have that. You have some kind of written confirmation. This is going to make it easier when you go to bill it. It's not foolproof. When you go send that invoice, I like to send that email along with it to the company and say, here's your invoice and here's the approval. I've had companies say, well, that maintenance guy he doesn't have signing authority. He doesn't have the authority to approve POs. Or I've had other companies say, yeah, well, this needs to still go through management approval. That's fine. At the end of the day, when it comes to doing hot rush work like this, it can be very lucrative because they have a problem, you're going to solve it, you're the guy to solve it, you got time. You can charge more money for this work, as we said before. On the other hand, there is a level of risk that comes with this. You're shooting off the hip, you're playing fast and loose. Did you quote enough? Are they going to pay? Are they going to put up a sink when they get the bill? There are levels of risk involved, and you need to make that decision at your shop, whether your shop has that risk tolerance. Some shops do not. I do rush work here at Lakewood with the guys. That said, there are companies that I won't do it with, and there's a certain threshold that I won't do it over. I'm not doing a $10,000 fix without a PO. I'm just not doing it. $500, maybe we'll talk. You need to make that own risk tolerance assessment on your own and determine whether you even want to get involved in that, because it's not a matter of if it's going to happen, it's when it's going to happen. The next thing, and as a forum member suggested, and I agree with them, would be that you don't release the part until you get paid. So in other words, you say, all right, we're going to do the work. You come back with a check. I'll call you, let you know how much it is. When I get the check, you get the part back. This is a great way to do things. It's called cash on delivery. That's, it's terms. A lot of companies deal with this. Again, the problem you're getting in, like I mentioned, some of these companies, they can't get a check in time or whatever it may be. The big thing you want to do is don't drop this on them. If you say, yeah, I'll do the work, bring the part over, and then when the guy comes over, say, yeah, so this is gonna be $700 and you can't have it back till I have the money. That's gonna ruffle a lot of feathers. You need to give them the heads up. When they come in and say, hey, listen, I only do this kind of work cash on delivery, you can tell them, hey, listen, I've been burned by this before, so happy to do the work, but our terms are COD to release the part. I cannot let this part go without payment. Are you okay with that? And they will say yes or no. Giving them the heads up is key. The other thing is with these big companies, you know, yes, it can take them a long time to figure out a payment. At the end of the day, if a line is down and losing $100,000 an hour, somebody there has a company credit card. Somebody there in management can go to purchasing and say, cut them a check, I approve. If it's important enough, they can find a way to pay. And you know, it's not a bad thing. That way, as soon as that part leaves the door, you're already paid, everything is good. I always recommend doing this if you can. Again, risk tolerance. If you want to give them terms for a company that you've never dealt with, that's fine, but you never know. The third thing you need to keep in mind with this is you need to stick with your company policy. If your deal for hot rush work is that this is cash on delivery, I do not give terms for hot rush work. Or every order that is a first order from a company here is cash on delivery. You need to have 3 paid orders before I will give you net 30 terms. You need to stick with that in this scenario. Remember, the person coming into your shop to get this work done, we're dealing with heightened emotions. They're probably getting screamed at from everybody at that company. Emotions are high, tempers are high. They're going to try to, well, they may not try to bully you, but they may inadvertently be bullying you, saying, listen, we can't do cash on delivery. I can only do net 60, but I need this. You know, this is what it is. At the end of the day, they need you more than you need them. This isn't taking advantage of a scenario. This isn't throwing your weight around. It's sticking to your company policy. If that is your terms, those are your terms for the work. If your price is $5,000 for this job, that is your price. You're going to be dealing with more pressure than usual in a scenario like this to cave on pricing, timeline, whatever it is. You know, if you genuinely can't fit something in for 2 weeks and they're saying, I need it today, I need it today, I need it today, you need to stick with, I can't fit it in. If you say, okay, yeah, I'll do this, that same guy is going to come back and expect same day delivery over and over and over again. And if that's what you want to turn into your business, fine. But if you have a company policy or you have something you're trying to stick to, you need to make sure you do it, especially in these scenarios. Otherwise, it's going to create problems down the road. In any case, guys, I'd like to know in the comments below what you think about a scenario like this. How do you deal with hot rush work? Have you had this happen to you where they get all stingy all of a sudden when it's time to pay? How have you dealt with it? And as always, make sure you like, subscribe, and turn on notifications below to make sure you never miss a video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. You take care.